Alright folks, this is Sultan. As you guys know, Hizb-ut-Tahrir is an Islamist organization with a strong presence in Western countries, which is an anomaly because it's banned in most Muslim countries, including Bangladesh, Egypt, Indonesia, Pakistan, etc. Last year, Britain finally banned Hizb-ut-Tahrir after the group couldn't contain its hatred for Jews in the wake of the October 7 terrorist attacks. I made a detailed video on that. Check it out when you get a chance. The link is in the description box of the video. Until Britain's decision to ban Hizb-ut-Tahrir last year, Germany was the only Western country to ban this Islamist anti-Semitic organization. Probably because of its anti-Semitic past, Germany has the best radar when it comes to detecting anti-Semitism. That is why Germany was the only Western country that banned Hizb-ut-Tahrir. But other Western countries haven't banned it yet. As of making of this video, Hizb-ut-Tahrir is still not banned in the US, Australia, and of course Canada. But it seems like we are about to make some progress. You might ask, how are we making progress? Well, the Canadian branch of Hizb-ut-Tahrir has scheduled its annual conference after cancelling last year's event when the British government banned the Islamist group. UK's Home Secretary James Cleverly said in the decision that Hizb-ut-Tahrir is an anti-Semitic organization that actively promotes and encourages terrorism, including praising and celebrating the appalling October 7 terrorist attacks. The event, called the Caliphate Conference 2025, was first set to happen in Mississauga, a city right next to Toronto. But the group moved it to Hamilton, a port city on Lake Ontario, about 49 kilometers away, which was a big relief for Mississauga's Mayor Caroline Parrish, but not so much for Hamilton's mayor. Hamilton's mayor, on the other hand, Andrea Howard, did not seem particularly thrilled about handballing this menace to her city, stating that there is absolutely no place in our city for individuals or groups spreading messages of division or intolerance. Like I said, more Muslim countries have banned Hizb-ut-Tahrir than Western ones. Why? Because the West has to figure out where to draw this line when it comes to free speech and the so-called non-violent groups. Richard McNeil Wilson, a research associate at the Global Governance Program at the European University Institute, thinks banning them does more harm than good. He says it hurts Muslim communities, weakens civil and democratic rights, and even makes counter-terrorism harder. And he's not the only one who thinks that. Michael Ken, director of the Matthew B. Ridgway Center for International Security Studies and professor of international affairs at the University of Pittsburgh, warns that protecting democratic institutions should not subvert core principles of freedom of speech, assembly, and associations. Instead, he advocates for monitoring them to ensure that they do not engage in political violence while empowering citizens to challenge their own radical ideologies. These people don't understand Islam or Muslims. Although I do think that free speech must be protected at all costs, but when it comes to dealing with different cultures, it needs to be adjusted accordingly. These professors and experts think that every individual from all cultures will behave the same way as someone who has grown up in a culture where free speech has matured over centuries, like in the West, for example. Islam has taught its people that free speech is not a good thing. Here's a golden saying from Muhammad: "The people before you were only destroyed by their excessive questioning and disagreeing with their prophets." And in today's context, the word prophet can be replaced with Khalifa, or the Caliph, as Muslims have been taught to follow their Caliph unless he takes them away from Islam. Since none of these Islamists and Jihadis claim that they are taking Muslims away from Islam, Muslims are expected to follow their Caliph. Check out this hadith: "You must follow your Caliph even if he looks like a black raisin." Sorry, these are not my words. These are the words of the greatest man who ever lived, Muhammad. Black people converting to Islam or thinking that Islam has no racism should leave Islam after reading this hadith. There are actually other hadiths as well, but I won't delve into that. So, how can you maximize free speech for people who do not believe in free speech? They're only using free speech to dismantle the entire Western civilization. They are in effect saying it themselves that we'll use free speech to end free speech. Now, an ordinary Westerner who complains about a lack of free speech due to government regulation or censorship doesn't want to end free speech. Muslims do.
Of Birmingham will not tolerate the disrespect of our Prophet, peace be upon him, and there will be outcomes from your actions. You will have repercussions for your actions. We have been trained from birth that we must defend the honor of our Prophet, and we will lay our life on the line.
So they're coming from totally different positions. Therefore, these professors applying a one-size-fits-all solution is not only fallacious, but incredibly stupid as well, and will never work. In my opinion, people who don't believe in free speech should be dealt with caution, and we should examine what ideas they are promoting in the name of free speech. If Hizb-ut-Tahrir is using free speech to bring in Sharia, which doesn't include free speech, then it shouldn't be protected. It should be watched like a hawk, and any speech that amounts to the overthrow of existing systems, such as Western liberal democracies, should be met with extreme force. Check out how pathetic their reasoning is. The Facebook group, Toronto Muslims, in a promotion of the coming event, proudly tells us how Islamic rule once spanned across 3 continents, from the Balkans to the southeastern Europe, to Anatolia, Central Asia, Arabia, and North Africa. See the hypocrisy there? They love to shame Britain for its colonial past, but at the same time, they celebrate Islamic colonialism. It further said that since losing the Ottoman Empire, the Ummah has witnessed nothing short of bloodshed, foreign occupation, invasions, and oppression over these last 100 years. But the colonial powers are afraid of us. Nothing can stop us from Allah's promised victory, or something to that effect. This is the reason why they're so successful in galvanizing thousands of Muslims into jihad, because they believe that once they start jihad, divine help will follow. But that never happens, as you saw in Gaza, because there is no Allah. No Allah is coming. No divine help is coming. This is mass delusion. And sadly, Muslims are the biggest victims of this delusion. Anyway, basically, they're saying that when Muslims colonize the world, it's good. But when the West does it, it's evil. How can they not see this hypocrisy? It's just pure delusion. Another promotional video questions the current state of Palestine. Think of the Crusaders who occupied Palestine for 200 years, much like the Zionists today, the narrator says while showing images of Islamic warriors. What is preventing the Muslim armies from protecting our Muslim brothers and sisters other than the corrupt rulers backed by the colonial powers? Today, this is the Ummah's call to action. Ummah's call. Yeah, we'll see how far that goes. Colonial powers? They just use these buzzwords to rile up their people. Don't pay any attention to it. The group's website, hizbcanada.org, says the speakers will be discussing following topics: nationalism and the regimes, frontline enemies of Islam, the colonialist powers, busting myths and erasing our fears. Only the Khilafah will liberate Palestine. Everything else is a distraction. And check out this part. This is so important. Despairing in the victory of Allah is forbidden. Trusting in Him is an obligation. This is why I told you earlier, they believe so blindly and dogmatically in the non-existent God that they go and start these wars that they never end up winning. I think only Muslims have to tell them that this is not working. We need to change our strategy. But how do you update the final word of God? You can't. So you keep repeating the same mistake over and over again and expect a different result, which is obviously not going to happen. Anyway, here is what we know about the group. It was founded in Jerusalem in 1953 as a splinter group of the Muslim Brotherhood by jurist Sheikh Taqiyuddin al-Nabhani from Al-Azhar University in Cairo. More radical people joined this group after the Brotherhood collaborated with Egyptian secularists. Extremism expert and writer Ghaffar Hussain says that the group follows a 3-phase approach. Number 1, recruit prominent individuals to the cause. That's why you see a lot of people recruiting these social media celebrities like Andrew Tate and so many others. Number 2, have these prominent individuals spread the message to the wider Muslim world. This is why you see all these social media celebrities simping for Islam.
Hey ChatGPT, I have a question. What is the most preserved book ever in the history of the world?
The most preserved book in history is widely regarded as the Quran, maintained through meticulous oral and written transmission over 1,400 years without any variations in its original text.
Wow, that's crazy.
3, eventually the cause has so much support that governments willingly turn over power to these Islamists. This is pretty much what Dilly was saying said. I also made a detailed video on that. Go check it out. Link is in the description. You see that? This is why they are recruiting these social media celebrities en masse and propagating totalitarian views of Islam as benign values that the West should embrace.
I call for the Islamification of all Western countries because Christianity has absolutely and utterly failed.
So, are you stupid enough to fall for that? Are you going to embrace these Islamist values, such as if you're a woman, dress in a bin bag, or if you're a man, go for a jihad? Would you do that? Are you that stupid? I hope not. At a Nixon Center workshop in 2004, law enforcement and experts called the group a conveyor belt for terrorists. Anyway, here's a heads up. For those who wish to attend this conference, expect it to be closely monitored by Hamilton Police, as ordered by Mayor Horwath. On the plus side, it's a free event. You just have to register, and there's free lunch, and some free babysitting services will also be provided. So Harris, where's the making progress part? Here comes the making progress part. On the 14th of January, the group cancelled its event, saying that this decision was necessitated by circumstances that were beyond our reasonable control. By reasonable control, they mean that they'll be watching us like hawks. So, we can't really spread our Islamist propagandist, terrorist, jihadist values so freely. This is how stupid they are, or this is how brazen they are, because they thought nothing's going to be done because Western governments have just given them a free hand. The group's advertisement had, in fact, brought it to the attention of the Canadian government, which is now considering adding the group to its terrorist list. The Safety Minister's joint statement said, "Our security and intelligence agencies are currently assessing Hizb-ut-Tahrir for listing as a terrorist entity under Canadian law." Israel's ambassador to Canada, Ido Moed, said that Canada should designate the group as a terrorist organization, stating, "It is called for in other countries, so this is also a call for Canada to do the same." As of yet, no further information has been released on the potential listing of the group. However, if Hizb-ut-Tahrir is designated as a terrorist organization in Canada, this could lead to the seizure of the group's property and finances, the revocation of its charitable status, and criminal penalties for individuals or entities supporting the group. As they say, better late than never. I am hoping that Canada will follow in the footsteps of Germany and Britain and move forward with banning this Islamist anti-Semitic organization that has caused so much disruption and radicalization in the West. So, what do you think? Is Canada going to pay to ban Hizb-ut-Tahrir? Or should they even ban Hizb-ut-Tahrir in the first place to protect the free speech of those who don't even believe in free speech? Let me know in your comments below. I am Sultan. Thank you very much to all my patrons and subscribers. Until next time, ta-da.